Hello, it's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a dope beat to step to. Today represents a year in making videos for Board Deck and Dice, which we only found out through our Facebook timeline reminder. So that was a nice surprise. We are doing a review today of Fugitive, the two-player asymmetric card game and deduction game. And good, what's not on silent? Nope. And from Tim Fowers of Paperback and Burger Bros. And this is like a follow-up to Burger Bros in that it continues the story, not in how it plays. So let's go down and have a look at what we've got. The Fugitive will start with a number of cards. He will start with the 42, the 2, the 1 and the 3, and the 0 starts on the board. What the Fugitive is trying to do is get to number 42 by making a series of steps. Each step counts as one number, so to go to here would count as one step. But from each card you have a maximum of 3 steps. So if you are the Fugitive and you play one card, which you will do face down here, the marshal will know that you have gone to either 1, 2 or 3. Obviously that's not very interesting for a game, so what you can also do is by utilising the footprints underneath. So in this case I'm playing 3 on top when they're flipped over, but I've also played 3 footprints. There's 1 or 2 footprints on each card. So now I have played up to 6. However, if the marshal's looking, he doesn't know or she doesn't know whether I've gone to I could have gone to any number between 1 and 7, because this could be 2 lots of 2 footprints. So that's how the Fugitive works. He'll also draw, before the game starts, 3 cards from the lowest number of value pile and 2 cards from the middle value, because each of these piles have certain values of cards in them which are marked here. On the first turn only, the Fugitive does not draw any cards. Instead they play 2 lots of cards. So I went to 3 there. I can only get to 6 from 3, so I'm going to have to play footprints again. So if I'm on 3, I've got 3 footprints, I can get to 6, so I need 2 more to get to 8. So do I really want to play I'm going to have to play the 10. I've boxed myself in a corner a little bit, but so I've gone the full amount of footprints from 3 to 8, because I've got 3 which would be to 6, and then I played a 2 which gets me all the way to 8. That'd be the end of my first go. The marshal has this kind of fake pad and dry white pen, and he on the first go draws 2 cards, and every other turn 1 card, and he can draw from any pile. So the advantage of drawing from the lower ones, of course, is you stuff them up in the lower rounds, but if you start drawing from the higher ones, they're not going to have as many options later on. So just for this case I'm going to draw 2 cards, 1 from the middle and 1 from the lowest. So I know now that the Fugitive cannot be on number 9, or cannot in the future reach 18 if they haven't reached it yet. So I put those to one side, don't let the Fugitive see what I'm doing, and then I can make a guess. Now when I make a guess, I can make one guess and the Fugitive tells me if it's right or wrong. If it's right, they flip over the location and any feet underneath it, so I get to see both cards or all the cards. If it's wrong, they just say it's wrong. I can also guess the amount of cards that there are face down, or more than 1 card. If I guess more than 1 card, I must get them all right for any to be revealed. So I think this was a 3 and this was an 8. So if I guessed 2 and I said 3 and 10, none would be revealed. So let's say in this case I guess correctly just 1 card, 8. The Fugitive would flip those over and show me what's underneath. So the location is 8 and the steps were 10. So then I'd know that he's been on 8, or he's on 8, but I'm trying to find him. But I know that he can't go to 10. And I also know, and the Fugitive doesn't know this, that he can't be on 9. So if the Fugitive should next time only play 1 card, I would know for certain it was 11, because there's only 3 steps between 8 and 11. So that is how the kind of hidden information works. That would end my go. I would keep that hidden from the Fugitive. The Fugitive would draw one card from any pile. They're going to draw from here at this time because they're a bit stuck. And thankfully they can get to 12, so let's say they do that and finish their go, and then the Marshal will draw another card. He's going to draw from here because I think we've got him cornered. That has not helped very much because, well, it helps me get that one because I need to get them all to win the game. And this goes on until a couple of things happen. If the Marshal ever reveals all the locations on a table, the Marshal has caught the Fugitive, discovered their whole journey, and won the game. If the Fugitive manages to play 42, which is the only card they play face up, then if cards higher than 29 have been revealed, they win the game. If no cards higher than 29 have been revealed, the Marshal gets to run a manhunt. So the game stops and the Marshal takes one guess at a time, and if that's a location, it's revealed and the Marshal gets a further guess. As soon as the Marshal goes wrong, the Fugitive wins the game. If the Marshal completes that manhunt, then the Marshal wins the game. Also included in the box are a number of variants. This is a Tim Fowers game after all, and these come through events which you can just shuffle in randomly and have a really random game, but there are other variants as well, my favourite of which is the catch-up mechanism. Instead of shuffling specific events, you shuffle in these kind of placeholders, which have the same backs as these, and whenever they're drawn from one of those piles, there is a way of determining who is in the worst position at this stage of the game, and you draw from a pile that is specific to that person. So each of these events is got an icon which tells you whether it favours the Marshal, the Fugitive, or is neutral, and so that way you can even out the game, and that's really nice to include that. That, in a nutshell, a rather large nutshell, is the game Fugitive. Now, for me, Fugitive is a great two-player, 10 to 15 minute game. It was really easy for me to understand and pick up, although I do recognise that my level of comprehending, I always do intimidation value and rules reading, and I've come to realise recently that because I've now been around board games solidly for 2 going on 3 years, that my level of comprehending the way instruction manuals are written and the kind of lesser mechanics that are more prevalent through all games, I understand those quite rapidly now, and for newer people playing this game there has been a little bit of difficulty in mainly understanding the steps and how the sprinting works. Just understanding that to go from 1 to a number higher than 3 they need to play footprints, but they don't have to go that far, and just confusion between the number being a location and also a kind of marker of distance. So there is that to bear in mind. If you are explaining this to someone, make sure that is clear in their mind and the rest will flow really easily. We played this game wrong a couple of times first, and that was we just revealed the location if the Marshal guessed it, and yet it still worked. And I think this game has been tested and tweaked and perfected, and the brilliant use of the events to make it in something a bit more interesting, although the vanilla kind of mode is really, really interesting. I find it really compelling, but to have that option is great. If you've played a few rounds in one night, you just shove in some events and you go away. And guaranteed, whenever I play this, we end up playing equal amounts of Fugitive and Marshal because it's such a quick play. The quality of the cards, of the components is great. Nice to have the little board, not really necessary, but a nice little extra. So, intimidation factor, it's a pack of cards and a deduction board. I guess deduction could make some people a little bit intimidated, but I think the way this walks you through and within the first few goes you really get what you're doing, and you can keep track. There's also an app which basically replaces this because you do it on the app, and that might be a bit easier for you if you're keeping it hidden, I guess, because you can turn it over without fear of rubbing off anything that you've written. Rulebook's fantastic for me, as I say, as someone who is relatively good at reading rulebooks by now, I hope. I found it clear, concise. We were away and playing. We made a few mistakes but I feel that's my fault through skim reading rather arrogantly rather than the mistakes of the rules. And yeah, this game is fun. It's a game in a similar vein to Deep Sea Adventure, Happy Salmon, not in terms of play, but those are games that when you play them, you instantly want to play them again. And it's the same with this, especially if you've only played one role. So I give this a massive check it out, because I think it's really good. If you're looking for a two-player game that is clever, that is engaging, that has more depth to it than perhaps you were expecting, then this is definitely one to check out. Thanks very much. Sorry for the last 2 weeks. My other job has kept me busy and the videos came to a stop, but it was quite nice to have a break. But I will be bashing them out again now at the rate of whatever I do per week. It's not very many, is it? It's a bit... Anyway, goodbye. See you next time on Board Tech and Dice.